I produced a very popular video about driving exotic cars. Some of my subscribers commented that they wanted to know more about the classic Porsche that I was sitting in during the video. Well, I didn't get 10,000 subscribers for nothing. I got it because I deliver the goods. So here it is, as requested, a real man's car, a 1980s classic Porsche. Let me tell you the amazing story that is this car. Get a cup of chocolate, get comfortable, and enjoy. Some of you may be looking at this car and you think you know what you're looking at. But do you really? I think if you haven't driven a classic Porsche like this, and it's Porsche, not Porsche. Porsche is what you sit on in the summer on the summer day. Anyway, unless you've actually driven one, I don't think you can honestly proclaim to really know what it is you're looking at here. This is a classic Porsche. This is from back in the air-cooled days. This is before they went over to water-cooled cars, I think, which is about 1999 or thereabouts. So a drastic change in the engine design, the cooling system in these cars. This is before that new era that we're in now. And also, some people may think of this car as kind of a glimpse into what makes Porsche such a legendary company, and in particular the 911, such a legendary car. I think a lot of Porsche enthusiasts will agree with me when I look at this car and I say that this is a real Porsche. And I'll get into why that is. It's a real Porsche, and what that means, many reasons, there's many things, in terms of what that means, but one of the big things that I think stands out the most, if you've never driven one, the first time you drive one, this is one of the things that'll stand out the most, is this is a man's car. This is absolutely a man's car. Not to be chauvinistic or anything like that, but what does that mean? When I say it's a man's car, what am I talking about? This is not a car for you to just randomly get into and get on the road and start acting crazy and doing all kinds of craziness, and you're going to go and try and drift the car and stuff like that. You get in this car with that kind of attitude and you will be in a ditch faster than you can imagine. This car absolutely demands respect. Absolutely. Look at this car, for those of you that are into motorcycles, look at a car like this, like your higher performance motorcycles, like the Brutale 1090 RR, like the Kawasaki ZX-10R, your leader bikes and things like that, your R1s. Think of that, think of this car like those bikes. You don't get on those kind of bikes and just, fooling around and jerking the throttle and stuff like that, unless you really, really know what you're doing. And even if you're that good, still, you always have to respect those bikes. They have a tremendous amount of power. The power to weight ratio is ridiculous. So, with that in mind, you absolutely have to respect those motorcycles. Same thing here. Let's go over some of that stuff. Why is this such a man's car? You have no power in the steering wheel. No power in the steering wheel. Hot summer day without the air conditioning on, turning the wheel is a workout. It is absolutely a workout. You will work up a sweat just turning the wheel. Shifting. You're probably, I'm good, I can drive any car, You're used to getting in a car and you got that gated shifter or whatever, and you just slide in the first, second, third, fourth. Not in this car. Not without experience. This car is, the shifting is kind of mysterious. More so for a new driver than someone who has more experience, but it's kind of a mystery. Where exactly is first gear? Where exactly is second gear? Where's third? Where's fourth? It's kind of a black hole. You don't shift this car like a girl. You got to make sure you're in the gear. It's first gear, second gear, third gear. I mean, it's not crazy like that, but it is a car where you have to really be committed to what you're doing This is no car for girly shifting and girly driving. And with all the weight in the rear end, you gotta be careful when you're making those turns. You don't have that good sense. I mean, normally with most stick shifts, you can easily just slide to the left and up and you're in first gear, no problem. You may push down and all the way to the left for reverse, or just push hard to the left in Porsches to get to the reverse gear. It's pretty standard. You even have written on top of the gear shift, you have the pattern, right? First gear, second gear, tells you the numbers and everything. You got a blueprint. You have to guess. There's no blueprint on this. So you don't even know. So if you just jumped in this car without knowing the pattern, you don't even know where the gears are because there's nothing on there. So you got to figure it out on your own. And even on a normal car, like today, a modern car, you could figure it out because all patterns are pretty similar. Most car enthusiasts, you're going to know all the variations, so you know what to try out. It's either got to be this, or that. Not in this car. Big mystery. You may have heard about Porsches being tail heavy. Well, even more so back in this era. The modern Porsches are much different. You have cars like the Cayman, which I think is potentially underrated by people that are not necessarily hardcore Porsche enthusiasts. That's a more mid-engine design. You have the engine really centrally located. You get two trunks for that, because instead of having the engine in the back or in the front, it's kind of in the middle. So you have a trunk in the front, trunk in the back, and then you got an engine in this box. You can't even see the engine. So very, very balanced type of car. That's what you're getting from the modern Porsche. Even a modern 911, I don't think the engine is as far back as the older cars. And whatever it is magic that Porsche did to change the design, there's that too. Bottom line is much more stable. And you have things like traction control, for example, that help you out. So a lot of factors, adjustments in the chassis, adjustments in the weight distribution, newer materials, a lot of factors make modern Porsches much more easier to handle. But this car is from the era that when people talk about Porsches being hard to handle or tail heavy, and you can spin out and stuff like that, this is the car that you spin out in. And this was originally a naturally aspirated car. It's since been turbocharged, so it's got a lot of horsepower, a lot of power, and the tail heaviness of it, so you do not play around in this car. I mean, not knowing the gears, so you're trying to change gears, you're going to the wrong gear if you don't know what you're doing. Even the gas pedal, the brake pedal requires muscle to use. It's not a smooth action like the modern cars. It's got this friction going on. Strangely enough, the clutch pedal I don't think is that difficult, but the gas pedal and the brake pedal, they're weird compared to modern cars. So you have a car that's very raw, a lot of power, very tail heavy, a lot of traction in the rear, wide tires, so you can see the tires are extending out from the body. So, this is a formula for disaster if you don't know what you're doing. So it's definitely a man's car, definitely a driver's car. You definitely get in this car, you're serious. You're not fooling around, you're serious. You're going out there to do some real driving, to know about, how you apply the brake, how you apply the gas, gradually on the brake, gradually on the gas, gradually off of the gas, gradually off the brake. It's basically everything's progressive, the way you steer, balancing the car in the turn. And one thing to realize is that what happens with these cars, you have a lot of traction because the engine is in the back. However, there's a lot of weight there too. Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, right? You guys know a little bit of physics. So what can happen with a car like this is if you screw up in a corner, now it'll stay, it'll grip. You can do high cornering speeds with cars like this. But if you make a mistake, turbocharged car and a little bit too much gas and it accelerates, you break traction. Once this thing starts oversteering, good luck to you. Once you lose a Porsche, good luck getting it back. Now the more modern cars like a Porsche 911, when I'm in the 996, and I lose it, I can recover the car, much easier than probably something like this. It's just, man, it is so violent when it comes back. I'll get it back, but it's like you regain traction, and it's a lot of traction to regain. Wide tires, all that weight in the back. So it kind of snaps back, and you've got to be on, on your toes, because the steering wheel just does like a, it turns really fast, and it's just, think about kid reflexes when they're playing the game console. It's that kind of thing, because the minute you feel that car sliding, you've got to react, you got to adjust to it. But this is, I think, much more difficult if you lose it, and I don't think recovering like what I just described is as easy in a car like this. You don't have any power steering, no anti-lock, no stability control. So, that sums it up. So that is pretty much covering all the reasons why I think this is a real man's car. A classic Porsche. I'm going to show you how a clutch works. REAL Lamborghini was born in the Lamborghini Huracan. If you love cars the way I love cars, then you're probably going to want to click on that subscribe button.